you guys hear that beat by the King Imperial.
That's right.
He made it himself. You know what it's time for? It's the BKBK podcast. Whenever you hear that song, baby, where sports and the culture collide and the New York Jets reign supreme. I'm your host, Brandon Phillips, and I'm joined by my co-host, Brian Taylor, Kerry Taylor, and Captain Kyle McKenna. So today, we're going to talk about the title of today's show. The show is titled Lost Perfection. Yes, we said it. The Jets were on the road to a perfect, air quotes, 0-16 season, and that perfection was interrupted by the stupid Rams. Did they win today?
They're playing Seahawks right now.
Yeah, and they'll probably blow them out just because.
Clowns. And basically, this has prevented the Jets from getting the closest thing to a perfect quarterback coming out of college in a very long time. But regardless of that, the Jets did something again today when they played the Browns. And what was that?
Win again, a meaningless game.
Again. So I don't know if because they beat the Rams, who at the time were, right now they're 9-5, playoff contending team in a solid conference, and we beat them and then use that rolling motivation to beat the Browns, who are another playoff team who were basically, in position to win their division, the first time in 18 years making the playoffs. So we'll see if we interrupted that, but still we are now locked in at the number 2 position, definitely saying that we have no chance whatsoever at Trevor Lawrence. So what is the best plan of action for the Jets now, since we have absolutely no chance at Trevor Lawrence? What do we do?
Can I ask a question first?
And I'm not just talking about the draft.
Okay.
What do we do altogether?
Can I ask a question first? So K&K, are you happy now? I'm looking dead at you. Are you happy? You guys wanted to win games, and here you go. And this is what you get.
I don't think we said we wanted to win games.
You didn't want to tank. That means the antithesis.
No, it's not. We don't tank. And I don't believe in tanking.
We should tank the rest of them.
Yes, because it doesn't matter now.
I'm not back spinning right here.
I'm only kidding. I stand with you, K. I stand with you, K and K.
You guys wanted to win these games, man. You gotta be kidding me.
Listen, we don't lose on purpose.
Nobody said that. When I talked about tanking. What tanking is,
tanking.
I said, as a fan, no, I don't want my team to go out there and purposefully lose games. But as a fan, I do want them to lose the games. And you guys were on the other side of that fence. You were. Were you not? Yes, you were. Okay. What are we talking about here? Huh?
I was on the
what?
I will never play a game to lose.
Exactly. There you go. So you wanted the Jets to win. That's not what I wanted to happen at all.
Well, as a coach, has to recuse himself.
Recuse. Okay.
Because it's tough. You don't want to compromise him. I get it.
Compromise
He's as deep Jets fan as all of us.
Did Jacksonville start Mike Glennon today to lose?
What's that?
Did Jacksonville start Mike Glennon today to lose?
Listen,
was that like a purposeful roster move to lose?
They might have. I know Gardner Minshew, he's thrown for 16 touchdowns and only 5 picks this year. That's way better than Glennon.
Listen, he was in there last week and they got slaughtered. I can't even say it was, Huh?
He's still better than Glennon.
I guess. Listen, outside of the last couple of games, the Jags were actually competitive in a lot of their games outside of the last couple. So, I don't know. Were they tanking? Were they not? Who knows as an organization? But all I know is that the one thing, diamond in the rough, right? What is silver lining in the clouds of this entire crappy season was actually coming away and doing one thing right. One thing. Lose all your games and get Trevor Lawrence, right? So we don't even have to, this whole section of the podcast wouldn't exist because it wouldn't matter. We just say, all right, we're picking Trevor. What are we doing with the second first-round pick that we have?
If the viewing audience thinks that Brian's head is going to explode right now, you should have seen it. You should have seen it when we started talking about trading up to 1 to get Trevor Lawrence.
Which I would still potentially do.
Yes, we can. And we
would do that.
Together scenarios.
Guys are
and then
jerks.
all of a sudden we get an all caps text from Brian saying, we shouldn't have to trade anything. We should just have it. We should have lost all our games.
Right. Right. What are we doing here? Now, you know what I mean? Like, it's something that you have and you just gave somebody. You'd be like, you know what? Can we have it back? I'll give you extra premium for it. What are you talking about? We already had it.
It's like somebody stealing your bike and then buying it back from them.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Debo style.
R.I.P. Debo, by the way.
Yeah. R.I.P. Debo. Yeah. So listen, I have a proposition or a question.
What?
With the number 2, what if you heard this? With the number 2 pick, the New York Jets select quarterback Zach Wilson out of BYU. Are we going to be seeing this on this show, or people going to be like, like throwing stuff up in the air and all of that? What's going to happen?
Are you asking us how we personally feel about that pick, or how? Okay, I'm going to answer that question in 2 ways. All right. So personally, I would not pick Zach Wilson with the number 2 pick or any other quarterback that is available other than Trevor Lawrence. However, if you are the general manager of the New York Jets and you believe that Zach Wilson is your Pat Mahomes, is your guy that you feel is going to take you there from point A to point B, and you feel 100% about that, then you do it. Just like we've talked about with Pat Mahomes and Jamal Adams and that draft. If you thought Pat Mahomes was the guy, you picked him and then you dealt with it. The guy from the Giants picked Daniel Jones. He thought that was his guy, and he took the flack for it. And it's actually turning out that Daniel Jones is a lot better than some of the other people in that draft. But the reality of it is if that's your guy. Now, if your guy is Christian Hackenberg, then you should go find a new job.
Well, he already has a new job, this guy. Or no job at all, but he just doesn't have this job.
Right. But that's my point. It's like if we didn't pick Pat Mahomes because of Christian Hackenberg, then that's just a skill set problem in management.
That's just dumb.
But Brandon, if you love Zach Wilson, if you look at Zach Wilson tear up Western Kentucky and Northern Alabama and those other schools, and you say to yourself, it doesn't matter who he was playing against. This guy's the truth. He's Jim McMahon all over again, or Steve Young.
Well, Kyle, do you draft him at all, though? I guess is he your quarterback? No matter number 2 or trade down or whatever, we got a slew of quarterbacks that we have to look at potentially, or keep Sam Darnold, right? That's always not in my mind an option, but in the GM's mind, he's got to be looking at that, and in some fans' minds, they're looking at that as well. So if you got the number 2 pick, which we do, and it's already locked and loaded, is Zach Wilson your guy, your quarterback in this draft, no matter if it's number 2 or number 25 or whatever it is? Because it sounds like you're knocking him a little bit based on strength of schedule. It's kind of backhanded compliment a little bit that you gave him.
No, well, I'm not really knocking him as much as saying it's a buyer beware situation in my estimation. I think that, and Kerry brought this up on the text earlier, that the media has a way of making people fall in love with these draft picks and making their stock go through the roof based on how they manipulate stats or the way they write articles and things like that. And it's not like it's a media conspiracy. It's just an annual thing with quarterbacks where their stock usually goes up as a draft comes. You don't hear about a lot of quarterbacks whose stock goes way down,
right?
As the draft comes by. It's more fun to talk about guys that you might have on the team, and like Justin Fields. A lot of people like him as the second best quarterback in here. A lot of people like Zach Wilson as the second best quarterback. There's Mac Jones. There's De'Ara King actually is going back to Miami for a 6th year. And you guys know that I really like De'Ara King, and I think he probably saw that it's a little crowded there. and that he might have a better shot at being a first-round pick the year after.
I'll tell you what, though, Kyle, just to, basically answer your point from before, and we've talked about this through text. I understand the strength of schedule. You have a lot of BYU players in the league, first and foremost. So, it's not like that school doesn't produce product. And secondly, I'm looking at other quarterbacks that didn't go to the best, say, programs, like a Josh Allen, like a Carson Wentz, who have performed in this league. And now I know Carson Wentz is struggling right now, but a couple of years ago, he was, in line for the MVP of the National Football League before he got hurt. And without him, the Philadelphia Eagles would have never gotten to the Super Bowl. He just basically handed the football over to Foles, and Foles took them over the line to actually win that Super Bowl. But without Wentz's performance, then they wouldn't have gotten there. And then Josh Allen, he is playing at an MVP caliber. He's in contention. Like, he is in the discussion, I would say. He's probably not going to win it. He's not going to win it over Aaron Rodgers. He's not going to win it over Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
He's not going to win it over Mahomes. You know what I mean? But he is in the discussion, and that to me basically says, if you study a quarterback and you see what he has to offer, I'm willing to take the risk on someone like him who has been performing really well, even if he's from, say, a smaller-ish program and having a weaker schedule. But I do see your point, but here's the thing. I'm looking at the draft order as it is right now. Jacksonville, number 1, Jets 2, Atlanta Falcons, number 3. I don't know. Are they going to dismantle their franchise? If they don't, okay, they're going to keep Matt Ryan. Number 4, the Dolphins. They're not going to want a quarterback. Carolina Panthers, they may want a quarterback. They're picking 5th. So maybe I can trade down with the Carolina Panthers, and maybe, let's just say they don't want, to do that or whatever. Maybe trading down with the Eagles, and they pick 7th so far because the number 6 pick is the Bengals, and then and they're not going to want to pick a quarterback. So maybe we can trade down, get more draft equity, and get a Zach Wilson there. We'll see. I don't know.
Much better with picking Zach Wilson at 12. Or somewhere around that 10, 11, 12.
Right.
Then I would too. I mean, this guy Penei Sewell, the tackle from Oregon, would have been the number 1 tackle drafted last year, if he had come out. So you have the opportunity at 2, if you stay at 2, to pick a potential Hall of Fame tackle type of guy. We've talked about this before. If you could put 2 first-round draft picks at either side of your offensive line and build around that, even if it is with Darnold, and what I think is a pretty good stable of running backs we have right now. P. Ryan came back today. I wasn't expecting that. P. Ryan and Ty Johnson, if Gore doesn't come back, are pretty good. And then maybe you add a running back later on, but I don't know if you could pass up a franchise type tackle like that.
If they picked him, I'm not complaining one bit. I'm not complaining at all.
Because here's the deal. This is how I feel about your top 5 draft picks for any franchise at any level of where they are, for the most part. We have the number 2 pick, right? So the issue that I have is, if you're not going to pick a quarterback at 2 that's going to significantly increase the quarterback play, as opposed to, just increase the quarterback play, then I have to question that. When you have significant needs at almost every skill position on your team, and you guys were talking off air about our corners, you were talking about our receivers, you were talking about our offensive line to a certain extent. Our defensive line looks pretty good. We're pretty decent at safety from a young perspective and from a veteran standpoint. But we have a lot of needs. And, number one, why you don't trade up to go to get Trevor Lawrence is because you have those types of significant needs. And you would be giving up draft capital in lieu of that. And that's not where Kansas City was. Kansas City was closer to winning. Kansas City was closer to having a coach that is capable of leading a team, a front office that's capable of leading an organization. So that's why I believe you don't trade up. But if you can draft a position at 2 that significantly increases the value of an entire unit, and that would be
Penei
Sewell, then I think you do that. I mean, you could argue that, you trade down and get some additional picks for him, but I think he's the kind of guy, like you said, that moves the needle significantly when you have a Mekhi Becton on the other side, when you have the ability to also draft in the first round, maybe, or early second round, an interior lineman, a stud interior lineman, and then you go from there. I like the corners that we have. I think we can still get a stud corner. I'm not as high on Bless Austin as others, but I'm not as low as I was on him at the beginning of the year. I think he gets penalized way too much. And I think his technique is significantly off. But I think that, again, it's about development, right? And I think that I've seen that enough of that to have a renewed interest in going with him going forward. At the receiver levels, our slot, I forgot why his name is escaping me.
Crowder.
He's here for another year, I believe. He signed for another year.
Yep.
Berrios is gone. We have Mims. We want to develop him. But, we can get a guy like an Olave from Ohio State, late first, second, early second round. But again, I love the fact that we have significant options. And not to mention the fact that, you were talking about Jalen Hurts and about Philadelphia drafting him and why it was such a mystery to everybody involved who commentated about it as to why you would draft him at, in the second round when you just paid your number one quarterback. But this is why, because they had a feeling about where he was. Not Hurts, but their so-called franchise quarterback. So, maybe
you changed in Philly when Frank Reich left, because Frank Reich is a great offensive mind and he was their offensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
And things kind of seemed to fall apart with Wentz when he left. And then look at what he's doing for Phillip Rivers in Indianapolis. People thought Phillip Rivers, he's not going to produce that well when he's in Indy, and he's actually had a borderline resurgence. He didn't fall off that much, but people thought that, he's going to be one and done. But if Frank Reich is there, I can see Phillip Rivers staying. But I just wanted to just make that point, Kerry. Sorry to cut you off, my man.
Indy's drafted really well too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, so
let me finish.
Go
the point. So in terms of addressing the quarterback position, I think we can. I don't want Justin Fields, and I don't care about what he does in the next game or two, depending upon if he wins this one that's upcoming. I'm not sold on him.
Nope.
And as far as the BYU quarterback, I don't think that he is a significant upgrade to Sam Darnold. Significant enough for me to draft him at 2. Now, if we trade down and we get a bunch of picks and he's there at 12 for San Francisco or at 11 or something like that, then I say, hey, I have no problem picking him. Let him fight it out. Because we got all of these other higher draft picks as a result that we're going to need to fill positions anyway. So, and I didn't see anything from Darnold today that convinced me that he needs to stay without question and be our franchise quarterback. Yeah, he played a decent game, but he was a 50% passer today. He didn't have any interceptions, but he certainly threw into traffic where it was ill-advised. The best ball that I saw was thrown to Berrios from Crowder. And again, I'm not a Darnold hater. You guys all know that, but I'm facts. This is not alternative facts. These are facts.
Yeah, I like that.
These are facts.
I like that.
Right.
I like that.
I'm going to categorically say that I'm going to give props to Brian, because this is about like a good 7 weeks ago, at least. Brian was over Sam Darnold. I am respectfully over Sam Darnold. I've done my evaluation. And
let me not say I'm not over him. I'm not over him. I still think that he's been dealt a significantly terrible hand, right? But that's why I say you bring somebody else in, another quarterback, and you have a respected offensive mind, a respected head coach that doesn't have to be an offensive mind. As long as he brings in an offensive mind, that is a leader of men. We haven't had that. Enough of that.
Sam Darnold has played most of his games with the receiving core that Baker Mayfield had today, with 4 receivers out with COVID.
Right.
Please. I am so over that, Mr. I don't have any weapons, and Mr. I don't have an offensive line and all that. I get all that. Listen, the number one thing I don't want to happen at the beginning of next year is to have Sam Darnold under center. However we do that is
without having some competition.
No. I don't want him under center. No. I don't want competition. I mean, I don't want him under center. I don't want to watch another Jets game with him under center. Like the kid, nice guy, but inaccurate and turnover prone. And that's not going to change with coaching at this point in his career. Yes, Kyle.
Brian, why don't you take us down the path that you took us down on the text stream?
Yeah.
All the other people you would like to potentially see playing quarterback for the Jets next year.
Absolutely.
Not all draft picks.
No. I'll put Carson Wentz up there.
I thought you put Brian McCourt. I thought you had Brian McCourt on the list.
Wow,
Brian McCourt. Wow. Brian McCourt will light it up.
Wow.
Especially with the Dolphins playbook that the Ballin' Bruins had Steve Carroll's first year.
But I did not mention that guy. So Carson Wentz. If there's a way that Carson Wentz, I'd rather Carson Wentz under center next year for the New York Jets than Sam Darnold. Hands down. It's not even a question. Better QB. Zach Wilson? Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I really watched that game, the bowl game that they had. Again, the opponent, he wasn't throwing into tight windows the whole game. Totally understand that. But the deep ball accuracy was there. The ability to look off the safety was there. The decision-making was there. And the ability to be a weapon in the run game as opposed to just if it off-schedule plays, right, that Sam Darnold ends up being. He is an actual weapon, in my opinion.
I don't necessarily disagree with you saying. Let me pause you there by saying this. Did you watch the Rose Bowl when Sam Darnold was the MVP? Did you watch that game?
I did not, no.
Okay, against better competition. Okay,
he tore it up.
Now you got me. Now you got me. I can't remember right now. But what I'm saying is that if you're going to compare, his body of work, the BYU quarterback, to Sam Darnold's body of work in the pros, and why you're down on Darnold but high on the BYU quarterback, you got to compare apples and apples.
I can't. There's no way to compare apples to apples.
Right. But what I'm saying is that you're saying. So what I'm saying is that Darnold was a highly rated quarterback coming out of high school that all of the professionals were high on. Mm-hmm. So, I don't necessarily going to use that as my gauge just to say, well, this guy is going to be better than this guy.
Isn't that the only thing that you have to gauge, though, Kerry?
A couple of games that I've seen.
If you got somebody coming out of college and
Darnold played against Penn State in that Rose Bowl. He played against Penn State, by the way. Beat him 52-49.
Yeah. And, Penn State is, not Alabama or Clemson or any of those other teams.
It was good that year.
Huh?
Penn State was good that year.
I know, but a good.
And in your defense, accuracy was an issue coming out of college. I'm not gonna.
turnovers. So were turnovers,
Yeah.
right? So this was part of his, bill of lading, right? This is what people purchased. You purchased a guy who was turnover prone, bad decision maker at times, and somebody that was inaccurate at times. And all of that has come to bear. He is a quarterback that is not going to win you games. He may not lose your games, but he's not going to win your games. We have a game manager, basically, is what we're looking at right now, right? So the good games, the games that we just won, he wasn't the reason we won those games. I mean, you could probably put him as reason number 4 or 5. It was the defense.
I'll put it to you this way. I think the difference is Brian thinks that Darnold is inherently below the line. I think Kerry thinks that Darnold is inherently above the line and needed to be nurtured more. And I think the same way Kerry does, but I also think that he has been ruined by the coaching. And I'm not willing to have him stick around and see if he's going to be able to reset his career, his mind, his mechanics, his everything. I want to start fresh with a new coach and a new quarterback because I'm just not sure about that resetting process. So
you're saying if you draft a quarterback at number 2, then that guy becomes your starting quarterback day 1. So that means Justin Fields or the BYU quarterback or the BYU quarterback or the Alabama quarterback or
too high for him.
I mean, yeah, because look at it
no,
this way.
That's what you're saying. That's what I'm saying, Brian. I want to know. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Because look at it this way.
You would draft the BYU quarterback too.
I would, but I would also draft Penei Sewell as well.
I'm not sold on what the ultimate plan is yet. I think you have Sewell there. I don't want to move down anywhere below number 6 and where this draft is kind of falling because I think the blue chippers, the potential Hall of Famers at that point in time, you can guarantee that you get Sewell or you get the quarterback that you want or you get one of the top wide receivers in the draft. So,
by the way,
yeah.
I'm sorry, B.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Finish your thought, and then we're just getting some comments. We got a lot of fans watching the show right now. Much love and respect to y'all.
Okay.
I just want to address Malik Waltler. He watches this all the time. Shout out to you. But to answer your question, or to basically, he's saying we need to get either Justin Fields or Zach Wilson out of BYU. And I'm going to tell you why I don't want any parts of Fields. I just do not respect Ohio State quarterbacks in general.
Nah.
I cannot tell you the last time an Ohio State quarterback was drafted that has produced in the NFL. For me, Ohio State produces great running backs, great cornerbacks, great linebackers, and good O-linemen, and sometimes here and there D linemen as well. But quarterbacks, not at all. So I'm not going there for a quarterback. So I do not want Fields. I don't trust it.
All right. Yeah, I'm with that too, man.
I see you, Coach. I see you, Coach.
Yeah, but I don't want to go below number 6 at that point in time. But I do not want to have Sam Darnold starting for this team next year, man. I think we need to draft somebody high. I'm not Zach Wilson. I like him. I got to see everybody else too. So I'm not. I think Brandon's a little bit further down the road as far as Zach Wilson is concerned than I am. I'm just starting my, just looking at him as a potential starter for us.
It could change, though, fellas. It could change. I mean, there's been no combine yet. I need to watch a little bit more tape. But let's remember, I was the first one that put Zach Wilson out there for us to be talking about. So I'm going to take credit for that. You know what I'm saying?
And remember, I didn't like Sam Darnold coming out of college either. I didn't want to draft the kid. So, I mean,
you were happy when they did.
I mean, he was. He was your number 2.
He wasn't my number 2 either. So, but I was wrong about my number 2. Huh?
No, Baker was his number 1. Baker
was number 1. Absolutely.
Number 2 was Rosen.
Yeah, his number 2 was Rosen.
Right. Yeah. So you would have been happy with Rosen? You're happy with Rosen?
Okay.
Right.
I mean,
what, though?
He might be out the league too.
You want to see some competition, though.
It was number 2 for me.
That college football playoff is going to feature 4 quarterbacks that are going to go before the second round is over. For sure. And I think Mac Jones is probably the one that gets the least amount of credit. And actually maybe Ian Book gets the least amount of credit. But Ian Book has played
the least amount of credit. You're right. You're right, Coach.
He's played Clemson twice this year. He's one for one.
You can't give him the one. Listen, Lawrence was not playing in the first game. I can't give him credit for the first one. They eked out
Lawrence doesn't play.
He didn't beat Lawrence. He beat Clemson.
No, well, listen. Come on, man. Come on. You can't take a potential, player of the year person off of.
Again, but he's not playing against Lawrence. He's playing against their defense.
He's playing against the team, bro. What are you talking about? I mean, you can't take the best player. He's the best player on the entire team. You take him off, you're like, oh, yeah, everything is equal. Come on, man. Come on. No,
it is.
I mean, nobody's saying everything is equal. I'm just saying that.
I am.
While Zach Wilson was playing Western Kentucky, Northern Alabama, Coastal Carolina, who he lost to.
That was close.
You know what I'm saying? And Coastal Carolina was a great year.
Yeah.
And I'm really not trying to backhandedly say that Kyle, I don't like.
You kind of are, bro. You keep bringing up Northern Alabama, man. What's wrong with Northern Alabama?
You can't compare the body of work. You can't. When somebody plays Clemson twice and is going to play, who's Notre Dame playing? Alabama in the college football playoff?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this dude has the most wins of any quarterback at Notre Dame ever.
You love it.
The scenario, I'm telling you, the scenario that I see happening.
He's going to be somebody's quarterback.
The scenario I see happening, right, is what Kyle is what Coach is saying. The scenario I see happening is what Coach is saying is that we keep the number 2, and we draft somebody like the Notre Dame quarterback in the early second or later second round. And keep our picks, or trade down and still get him and get additional picks. We're not drafting Mac Jones at 2 or the BYU quarterback or Fields. We're not doing that. So that's not happening, which means it creates a competition with Darnold.
I think Ian Book will last until the 4th round. I don't think we need to even chase after him in the 2nd or 3rd. I think we can get a gem in the 4th round, 3rd or 4th round for Ian Book. Well,
I think you wait, right?
And everything.
Right, he's going to rise. His stock is definitely going to rise.
That's true.
I believe
that. Last past.
And if you want him, then like you said, you go get him. You pick him at that higher point, just like the Eagles did with Jalen Hurts, because they were initially other people saying that they should have waited to the 3rd round to pick him up, and as a result, they're vying for the playoffs right now.
Truth. Kerry's spitting that truth right there. You're right, bro.
Yeah.
You're right.
Somehow you're going to have to move up for your quarterback. I don't think, to Kerry's point, that it's going to be that number 2 pick. And I think maybe we move down to maybe number 6, get, a blue chip player at that point. With the additional draft picks and capital, we move up from 28 or 29, wherever we're going to be with that Seattle pick. And then we get the quarterback. So, and
then the other problem with drafting Sewell is it's rich people problems. But now you got a left tackle playing right tackle that is going to have to get paid at some point, and he's not going to want to get paid $5 million as opposed to $15 million. But that's rich people problems, right? So I'd rather have them problems than be sitting there with a subpar right tackle and a all-pro left tackle.
You got 4 years.
All right.
You got 4 years.
Guys,
you got 4 years to worry about that.
Here's a scenario, because we keep saying, let's go down and say pick number 6. That's the Cincinnati Bengals right now.
Yeah.
They need offensive line help. If we trade down with them, they're going to pick Sewell. So where do we go from there at, say, pick number 6? Is anyone happy with picking their highest rated quarterback that they have on their own individual boards as of this time?
I think you go wide receiver.
It depends what we went down to 6 to get, what we got as a result of picking 6.
I think you go wide receiver.
What are we getting? Did we get 3 second-round picks now? You know what I mean?
You love that.
Yeah, I mean,
and a first for that number 2. Number 2.
First is that right? First next year's.
What I'm saying here is, I would go with the LSU receiver.
Yeah, true.
Jamar Chase, we're talking about right now.
Jamar Chase. If he's there at 6, he may not be there at 6, guys.
I might go with him or that outside linebacker out of Penn State. How about that?
Who's the outside linebacker out of Penn State?
What's his name? Parsons.
So this goes back to that conversation that we were having before, Brandon, where our defensive front is maybe a pass rusher away from being a top 5 front line. If we keep the guys that we have. And we were talking about this earlier. Nate Shepard, the last 2 games has been phenomenal. Like much more so, especially like stepping in and playing more with Q out. He was a disturbance the whole game today. 2 sacks, 3, I believe, in the last 2 games. Franklin Myers had 2 sacks today. Fatukasi,
fumble recovery. A couple tackles behind the line of scrimmage. Fatukasi. I know Phillips, who's hurt, who's been playing very well this whole season as well. I get it.
Well, Phillips is really the guy that we kept on the roster when we cut the other guy from Florida that didn't work out. Yeah. Well, I don't even remember his name now.
Yeah. The guy ran like a 5.0 in the 40, and we still drafted him just because he had like
the other DN that we drafted from Florida, Zuniga, played a lot today.
Yeah,
didn't play fully. Yeah. So I think that, do we go and get a pass rusher at 6? If it's a
transformative guy, sure.
Transformative player, yeah. If it's a guy, like I feel like the Q is working out really well, but that Josh Allen, a couple years ago, that could have been that guy. We need an Abraham type. That's gonna demand that you pay attention to him or chip him, with 2 people. But I don't know if that's at 6.
Okay.
It's not at 6 in this draft.
No.
Honestly, what I would do is, because there are going to be a few pass rushers that are going to be available in free agency. I'm not sure if the teams that are currently holding on to the ones that I want are going to be able to hold on to ones I want. And I'm specifically talking about Judon. He would be my number 1 target right now. He's the kind of guy that doesn't come off the field as a pass rusher.
Yeah, and he also plays the run well.
That's my point. He doesn't come off the field.
Like a Myles Garrett.
He is 3 downs. He's 3 downs, and would play in punt coverage, punt return if he needed to. I'm just saying the guy doesn't need to come off the field under any circumstances. That's the kind of guy that I would be targeting in free agency if he's not in the first round of that draft, top half of that draft.
I think you get a weird point between 6 and 12, where you're saying to yourself, do I pick a quarterback here because nobody else is a transformational player for my team? Because or are you going to go and you're going to pick a Denzel Ward type, like a shutdown corner type of guy, or make a Fitzpatrick type that comes in and is just an adjustable Swiss Army knife corner that you could put against the other team's number 1 whenever it, you play somebody.
Well, I like Caleb Farley. I like Caleb Farley right now.
Out of Tech, yeah, I like him
he's
too.
He's on my high list as I want that guy on my squad competing every day.
Yep, I like him. I also like, let's just say we keep that 26th pick because right now that's what we have. That's the pick that we got from Seattle. I also like just to really bolster the interior of our offensive line. That's been a problem all year. Creed Humphrey. He is the best center, and he's out of Oklahoma. Huh?
Alabama?
No, he's out of Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
Yeah. So he's the best center in the country out of Oklahoma. Not only do we need that smart center who can call out the defensive fronts, but someone who can just maul them and just be that anchor for the quarterback. And then, let's just say we drafted Penei Sewell. We already have Mekhi Becton. And then right there in the middle, we have Creed Humphrey. forget about it. All right?
Forget
You can tell
about
I'm
it.
from New York because I just did that. Forget about it. You know? So it's like, then we can have the O-line of old when we had DeBrickashaw, when we had Mangold, and we had one of the best offensive lines in football. And, you know, we just got the job done. So I would be totally happy with that. And then from there on, because we have the 33rd pick, we can start really addressing offensive skill players or defensive, you know? So I'd be happy with that as well.
If you go that route, you know, you start thinking about drafting like a Chuba Hubbard or a Travis Etienne and going like that Dallas Cowboy route where you
mean that Seattle pick? You mean for that Seattle pick?
I don't know if it would be that pick. I think Travis Etienne's going to be somewhere in between 20 and 35.
Mm-hmm. We put 33.
We have 33 as well.
Yes, we do.
Mm-hmm. What?
We do have 33.
You want backs that can pass pro? You want to back like Ezekiel Elliott when he's playing well, where he can catch the ball, he's good in pass pro, and he can run the ball. And that's a good 3-down back that you can have there with a Ty Johnson, with a P. Ryan, and then you're done there. You're good. And I don't think Frank Gore comes back. I think the only reason Frank Gore's on the team, you know, right now is because of his relationship with Gase. I really saw, and this isn't a knock on anybody, but I did see him. He wanted to get that 48 yards for Frank Gore today. Mm-hmm. And he immediately got the 48 yards and then went in the locker room. So I don't know, you know, we talk about like tanking, meaningless games, you know, I think there was something meaningful in that Gase and Frank Gore, you know, their relationship and him trying to get that. But, you know, I love the way P. Ryan looked today. Ty Johnson looked good when he had the ball. So you add another young back to that with 2 bookend tackles. Even if you keep Sam Darnold and he's your quarterback. Well, I knew that you're going to have that reaction. But I am in that Kerry camp where unless the guy that you're going to get is going to come in and be an immediate upgrade and start over him, then you have to think about the possibility of Sam Darnold being the starting quarterback next year.
So help me understand that out of all of the quarterbacks outside of Lawrence that are coming out of the draft, or a Carson Wentz, that none of these players could potentially be that guy that can
all potentially be that guy.
Yeah,
but it's all based on potential.
Of course, it always is though, Kyle. Right? I mean, anybody coming out of college, it's always based on potential. This is what prognosticators do, right? You look at the player, and we haven't done the full analysis, or we haven't done our full draft, so I get that. But I'd have to think that the players that are coming out this year have to be better than the 32nd best quarterback in the league. Can you give me that?
Again, with coming in the league with a new system, with a new head coach, with a new culture, mm-hmm. that changes the perspective, right? Does. Because because you know, that's why I say it has to be a competition. That's why I say that it has to be. You get into camp, all things considered, everybody's at the starting point. Everybody's at the same starting point, and because we have a new coach. We got a new offensive coordinator. We got a new defensive coordinator. We have a new coordinator of special teams. So Sam Darnold should have the edge in that. But if he doesn't take the baton and take you further than the man who you're going to give it to, then you give it to to Sam Darnold.
So that's why the situation's playing out the way that it is in Philly. So I mean, there was competition there. There was somebody to push it.
So to the point, and this is going back to what I said in the text, players, quarterbacks that have come out recently better than Sam Darnold, right? So Tua, would you put Tua as your starter before Darnold right now?
Better
Yeah.
situation.
No, well, I mean,
Absolutely.
I'm just saying. So they're all going to be better situations because ours sucks. So Tua, yeah. Herbert,
So
Better
let me,
situation.
so let me back up on Herbert then.
Go
There
ahead.
was nobody here saying last year,
Right.
we need to go out and draft Herbert
absolutely not.
to be our quarterback.
Absolutely
that worked
not.
out well.
Yeah, absolutely not. Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Murray,
I don't know about Joe Burrow.
you don't know about
I mean,
Joe? Wow.
Joe
Wow.
Burrow, what I saw of Joe Burrow before he got hurt was
Holding
like
the ball way too long.
a lot of volume. You know, like a lot of quick game volume. Like
Ton.
there was the one full game that I watched of Joe Burrow where he threw for 300 yards on like 60 attempts.
Sure.
Okay.
And actually,
Sure.
we discussed that game on the podcast specifically.
Yes, but then, with the volume comes, say, that's when you evaluate TDs to turnover ratio.
Right.
What was his turnover ratio with that high volume?
But it was
I don't-
volume, dink, and dunk. It was volume, dink, and dunk. It
That's
wasn't
fine.
volume.
He's
and-
making completions and he's moving the ball.
Right.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when you have high volume, you have to check your turnover ratio. And if
Correct.
it's still low, you're being effective.
The
Exactly.
turnover ratio is Sam Darnold's biggest flaw.
Yes.
It's the thing, and it's what we've talked about as far as his ceiling and his floor. You know, if his ceiling is a 2-to-1 TD to interception ratio, then we're fine. But that's not what he's shown us. It's the other way around. It's 1 TD to every 2 picks.
That's true. And,
Like
and
a
also,
day like
Burrow
today, where he doesn't throw a pick.
doesn't have a good offensive line.
No, definitely
You
didn't.
know, I don't think that.
Very porous. So you kind of have to dink and dunk him to kind of get him going.
Mhm.
So
I mean, listen, he
Yeah.
was having a historically good season for a rookie quarterback when he
same
went
thing
down.
with Herbert.
Exactly. Him and Herbert were like kind of neck and neck, and he was far ahead of Herbert until Herbert kind of came on because he wasn't really the starter at the beginning of the season, but had to come in really, really early on. But Kyler Murray, I mean, that's a no-brainer.
Yes.
And Daniel Jones. You taking DJ over what we have right now?
DJ
I don't know. Daniel
has
Jones makes
much
some
better
stupid
receivers
plays,
than
too.
Colin.
I don't know.
Everybody's the much better receivers and this and that. Listen, his number one top player hasn't played either year that he's been there.
And we don't have any number one top players to give to Donald.
Or again, I think there is the opportunity loss is the hard part to quantify here, right? The fact that we don't have any weapons and this and that. Put a capable quarterback with Mims out there, with Perriman out there, with Crowder out there, and you're telling me that a capable quarterback can't hit Perriman a little bit better on that long distance throw, right? A little bit closer on that one. Somebody, and that's to me, you talked about his number one flaw being Darnold, his touchdown to interception ratio.
Herman
Yeah.
dropped the ball today, I
He-
think.
Oh, absolutely.
beginning of the
He dropped
game.
one too. Absolutely. The Mims
So you really
you're talking
you're
about
saying-
one drop. How many interceptions did he almost throw? More than one? Come on.
today? Yeah.
Yes,
I'm
absolutely.
yes.
So you're
right.
talking about
You're
one.
right.
You're talking about one drop. But let me just finish my point, and I'll sit back
Right.
down. Right. The pass to Mims, where Mims had to turn around, contort his body, and try to catch it over the cornerback when he had the sideline and was
Should have thrown
basically
it longer. He should have
Exactly.
thrown it longer.
that
right.
to me is his number one flaw,
Mhm.
and that battles to me with the touchdown interception ratio.
But my
Because
problem
if
with that is that he has a tendency to me overthrowing his receivers.
Well-
in that instance, he underthrew. So to me, that's more we're not on the same page as to where I should be putting this ball for you.
Kerry,
That's
so
about
that one?
developing chemistry. That's about developing chemistry. You know that
That
Mims has been here 4 games.
It was a poor throw. I mean, he was.
No, it was
It was
under
a
the
poor.
cir-
What?
He should have thrown it longer. But my thing is,
Absolutely.
you don't know in the
in the playbook?
in the room
if that's
in the
what it
playbook
was designed to go?
that was called for a shorter route. I don't know. All I'm saying is this:
Yeah.
he hasn't been equipped with the thing that he needs. Number one, a head coach.
Thank you.
and number two, the rest of the student body. That's what I'm saying. So I'm saying is that my jury is not out on him. I mean, my jury is still out on him. But what I would say is, this is the year that you either have to take leaps and bounds and be our number one quarterback, or you go. You
hey,
go.
Kerry, I totally agree with you, just except for one thing. I just think he's been too far damaged. And Brian, do you think if we drafted Josh Allen, he was put in the same exact situation that Sam Darnold's in, do you think that Josh Allen would be effective? Or do you think he'd be damaged goods as well?
In a different way. I think he would be effective in a different way. But he's been coached up too.
He's been coached up.
Last year,
that's what I'm saying. Because my overall point is, like I've been saying before, I do not think that Darnold, I wanted Baker Mayfield first, and my number two is Darnold. I do not think that he is inherently bad, but I think that he was severely damaged, and I think that we need to hit the reset button and kind of ship him off. And
let me address
a little bit longer than I am, and I think that's the only difference, because I do agree with you, Kerry.
Let me address the whole Baker Mayfield thing, right? So up until this year, they were trying to determine whether or not they were going to sign him to a longer term deal,
Very
right?
true. Yes.
So they were questioning whether or not he was in the same position that Darnold is in right now, right? But now because
Landry and OBJ and Dooku and all those weapons.
Right. Now he
had poor coaching.
Right. So now he is with a coaching of the year candidate, a coach of the year candidate, right? Who has them in the right direction. So,
here's the qualifier for me for that. Baker Mayfield, as a rookie, broke the touchdown record for rookie quarterbacks. He has shown he took a step backwards.
Yeah.
But he's shown in the NFL that he could play at a high level. And Darnold, where is that? Where's the tape?
Darnold,
right?
Darnold has a body of work. Darnold has a body of work at the end of it wasn't the end of last year, right? Was it the end of the last
Who did we play? Who did we play? Please.
Are we going to analyze who Baker Mayfield played during that time?
We could, but it's the entire year. So you'd have to.
The majority of the time, yes, but he did have some bad games.
He had some bad games.
Sure.
They were questioning whether or not he was the man then too.
But he put together a tape of a whole entire season, 16 games. There's some ups and some downs. Aaron, everybody has ups and downs during that period of time. But an entire season to say this guy is pretty good, right? And he broke a record for rookie quarterbacks. Now, if you're comparing that to the 6-game stretch that Darnold had, that highest rated quarterback in the NFL during that period of time, I'll give him that accolade. He earned it. But again, I always go back to the fact that the easiest strength of schedule that you could ever have during that period of time. And it was known. The front part of our schedule was loaded with, teams that we were going to potentially struggle against. We did very badly, right? And he was out for a couple of those games too. But I can't really hang my hat on that 6 games because we played nobody. No, those weren't playoff.
What I'm saying is that he still showed you that he could put the ball where it needed to be during that time frame. And I will tell you that all of last year made Cleveland question whether or not they had their franchise quarterback.
I think that Brian has Sam Darnold's body of work to back up what he's saying. And it's more interceptions than it is touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not going out on a regular basis and throwing 2+ touchdowns a game. So that part of it, I think that your argument is solid, Brian. And
on the same principle, I argue about Gase on that very same principle. But go ahead, Kyle.
But the thing is, it's like, all right, if all is right in the world, we're not even talking about Gase anymore in 2 weeks. Like Gase is somebody that you for the team that we root for.
I understand that, Kyle, but the only reason why I'm saying that is because I think Gase ruined Sam Darnold. Go ahead, brother.
I think I understand that you feel that way
more than anyone.
but I think that the thing about the NFL is that potential is great until you line up under center or in shotgun in the NFL, and you have to play against that NFL quality defense, and you got to go out and win a game. And Luke Falk was a really good college quarterback. He had huge numbers in the Pac-12 for Washington State. He came in and played for the Jets his rookie year and was terrible. Like, he was absolutely terrible. And now I'm not comparing the people in this draft class to Luke Falk because, he wasn't a first-round draft pick or whatever. But the reality of it is we evaluate based on potential. Those people come in, you hit sometimes, you miss other times, but you got to be able to put somebody under center that can win a game in the NFL. And whether you love Sam Darnold or you hate Sam Darnold can win a game in the NFL because, like Brian is pointing to with his interception to touchdown ratio, he has wins under his belt. He has beaten people before. He beat the Rams last week. He beat the Browns today. He beat Dallas last year. He had that rip that he went on at the end of last year. So he may not be the quarterback for us. He may not be our future. He may not be our long-term answer. But if we're not getting somebody that's going to come in and usurp him right away, immediately, then I agree with Kerry that he's going to have to compete in a new offense with that other person that comes in, whether it be a free agent, whether it be a draft pick or whatever. And the best person is going to start a quarterback next year. And I don't think it's a guarantee that Sam Darnold is jettisoned from this thing. I think if we had drafted Trevor Lawrence, if we had the number one pick, it might be a guarantee. But
yes, absolutely.
That's the reality we're living in.
Yeah. Unless you pick somebody at 2.
And I just found a way to agree with everybody on the podcast a little bit.
You're spreading that wealth, huh?
Yeah.
That's called backpedaling. That's called being a defensive back.
All right, guys. So, hey, listen, let's keep this thing moving. And we're just going to quickly talk about, because we've been talking about a lot of quarterbacks, coaching, and this and that. So let's let the fans know our perspective, at least for right now, because Gase has only about 9 days left of being employed with the New York Jets.
9.
Nine, and then he's out of there. All righty. Who comes to mind? Who do you guys want to see wearing that green and white, that gang green, as the head coach of the New York Jets? Because, by the way, we're not as attractive as we were before because we no longer have Trevor Lawrence in our sights. So who are we hoping for?
Can I go first on this just to piggyback what we were just talking about too?
Go ahead.
So one of the things you were saying, Brandon, was that Josh Allen has been coached up in Buffalo. And a lot of the reason why Josh Allen is an MVP candidate is because there was Josh Allen that came in the league and then Josh Allen that's been coached up. And that person that's been coaching it up is Brian Daboll in Buffalo. And I think that he deserves serious consideration right now for the work that he's done there. The work that he did in Alabama, he had a lot to do with Jalen Hurts and Tua, in their early years in Alabama. So he has a Nick Saban tree. He has the pedigree of both college and the pros, and a really good track record in Buffalo. So let's say you did reinvent that scenario where Brian Daboll is coming in and he is coaching up Sam Darnold. You might get some of the results that you think you would have gotten in the first place.
It would be more palatable to me if that were to happen, and if we kept Sam, it would be more palatable. I like Sam. I kind of almost feel bad about kind of wanting him to go, but the resume that you just discussed and the evidence that we see in Josh Allen, who came in, I think he only had like a 57.8 accuracy percentage coming in from Wyoming, I believe, a smaller school,
Career, junior college and college career, 54%.
54%. Gee whiz, come on. And look at this kid now, and not only does he have that accurate touch and everything, he's athletic. He scrambles, and these are all the things that Sam Darnold can do if he's coached right, if he's put in the right system that accentuates his talent. And I hope somebody like a Brian Dable can do something like that. So I'm guessing that is your choice, Kyle, for head coach.
I mean, I don't think Bieniemy's coming to the Jets. That's my sense right now. It's
about what we want, really. That's the real question. I respect where you're coming from as far as Dable is concerned. I'm just hoping that he is a good leader of men, which is what Kerry was talking about. But Dable, who you've just described thoroughly, he was my number 2 choice. And I'm glad that you mentioned Bieniemy. Bieniemy, for right now, is my number 1 choice because you got to love that Andy Reid tree. You just got to love it. He's interviewed with the Jets before, I believe. Hopefully they give him another shot. And I just want to see what he can produce. I mean, listen, if he's going to install that like flip play on the goal line to the tight end, and have him score, like I've seen that play like 3 times where Kelsey has scored. It's like a little flip play, and I'm just like, can't even follow it. It's like, oh snap, where'd the camera go? And all of a sudden it's a touchdown. Like things like that, just being creative and mindful of what you have and the talent that you have and the players that you have, and using that and installing different plays and just knowing what you have. I hope that he can grab all of that from Andy Reid and being with him for years now and apply all of that, that creativity. But even before the creativity, being a great leader of men, he is a guy that played for Colorado, a great running back at Colorado, and he knows football. So I just want him to be able to have the wisdom and the acumen to be able to apply all of that. And he would be my number 1 choice. I want to see how this Andy Reid tree just continues to fall and produce great fruit. Who's next? Who wants next on their coaching choice?
I'll go.
Yeah.
So, I've said all along, I want a young guy in here who can grow with the team, who can be with the team for 10 years and just get progressively better. That has a vision, what this NFL is going towards, which is, all offense all day. But again, who has a track record for leading men, or has a potential track record. So I like Matt Campbell out of Iowa State. I like Joe Brady out of Carolina. I like what they're doing with the offense there. But my sleeper is Greg Roman, who was a lifer. Baltimore has a legacy of success, of defenses that perform well. Has been under the tutelage of a head coach who I like, who I would, give up draft picks to get. And I believe has a somewhat of a relationship with Joe Douglas. So, those would be my 3 guys. I don't think Eric Bieniemy is coming here, but I'm not so certain I would prefer him over the 3 that I mentioned, to be honest with you. I think the individual that's been calling plays there has been, Andy Reid, and he's been a significant part of what's been going on. So, those are my 3 choices right now. But again, it's just not going to matter if Joe Douglas isn't the one who has the last word on hiring the coach.
Yeah. Very true. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, I don't really have a favorite right now. I'm still kind of looking around. I'm curious because news came out about Urban Meyer and some NFL, teams reaching out to him as a potential move to the NFL. So I'm curious.
He would go right to Jacksonville. I mean, do not pass go straight to Jacksonville. It's not even a question in my mind. That's the only reason that they're mentioning it. Honestly, I believe.
Yeah,
that's a good call, Kerry. I believe you, bro. I believe Kerry. I definitely believe him. That's a good call.
Because they ain't say nothing before the Jets.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Urban Meyer wins, but I don't know if I'd want him as my coach. I don't, a lot of the stuff that went down with Ohio State, that was like
lack of honesty, lack of integrity. You say one thing and do another. And I don't want that. I already have it. It's called Adam Gase. Let's go. Get out of here.
Remember when Adam Gase?
Are you calling the plays? Here you go. Are you calling the plays? I don't know what you're talking about. Calling the plays. Who calls plays? That's easy. That's simple. I'm not doing it. I think I'm not doing it. I might be doing it, but I think I might not be doing it. There you go.
And then he goes, I don't care. I'm friggin' rich. But he didn't say friggin'. He said something else.
Right. He went there. I'm rich.
He's not Donnell Rawlings. He can't think that.
I'm rich, itch.
My man Donnell shouting out Donnell Rawlings.
Woo!
All right. So
Who's
B,
next?
Brian is, but he said that he didn't really have an overall pick. I guess he's got to let some more choices sink in, right, B?
Yeah, I got to do a little bit more research during this season. I mean, again, I was focused on that number one pick. Felt like we were going to be a very, very attractive destination. So because we won these two meaningless games, we are definitely less attractive at this point.
Brian has
for a lot of reasons.
He has signed on a hiring firm to do his search for a coach.
Absolutely. Yeah. I need a firm at this point.
Executive hiring.
Why don't you hire Charlie Casserly, B?
Oh.
No way.
No way.
For that, I just do it myself. Could definitely do a better job.
Charlie Casserly.
They should hire us four, man. They should hire us four, give us like $500K each, and then, like, all right, fine. But anyway.
Does K mean 1,000?
It does.
Okay.
Get 500 of those. How about that?
All right.
Yeah. So, guys, girls, fans, everybody, BKBK, thanks for watching another episode of the BKBK podcast.
I got one thing to say, though, before you close out.
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
So, look, guys, I want to give a shout out to one of our Bowen Bruin brothers, class of 88, 87 football season, Bobby Pettigrew. Bobby Pettigrew just came out of the cardiac ICU, being in there for 7 weeks.
Wow.
But, one of the toughest guys I have ever met, but one of the nicest guys I have ever met. Bobby would run you over, score a touchdown, and come back and pick you up on the way back, literally. He came down to follow me down to Morehouse, along with Rob Wright, also a Bruin. Played on a team with Brian McCourt and Dorian Fisher and Chris Williams and Tony Robertson. But one of the best guys, one of the good guys of the Bruins, and I wish him health and speedy recovery to Mr. Bobby Pettigrew.
He was on the team that was seniors when we were freshmen.
Yes, yes. So that was Coach Carroll's first year.
Billy Friedenberg.
Yes.
Stu Katzen was a wrestler in that class.
I believe so. Ray Adams.
I thought he graduated in 88, not 89.
He graduated in 88, but he played, fall 87.
So that's the year before us then.
Yeah, because I remember he's in my sister's grade. And so when we were in 8th grade, they were seniors. But I remember Pettigrew lived right by my house, and that turn right there, it seemed like everybody would crash that fence. Remember that?
Oh, they did. Everybody would. Yeah.
True. Facts.
Yeah.
Facts.
Everybody would crash
and it still happens. It still happens.
Oh, gee whiz. Yeah. But I remember Bobby Pettigrew, and I remember the fact that he was an excellent football player. I didn't know him very well because he was a little bit older, but I always knew he was a nice dude. He wore those glasses.
Yep.
But he was
right.
thick.
He wore the rec specs. He was like a lunchbox. He was built like a lunchbox.
Yeah, he was. He was. Tough dude, and he was, so.
But
man,
a good dude. Real good dude, man.
Yeah,
was it COVID related or was it something else, Kerry?
Not COVID related. I leave that, up to the HIPAA rules. But he's good. He's good, and he's healing, and he's blessed, and he's home. and he's loved. So we just want to give him love and shout him out and tell him that we're praying for a speedy recovery for his Bruin self.
Absolutely. Now, I also want to shout out a coach that coached for Baldwin. I don't know him really at all, but since he's a Bruin, I have to shout him out anyway. And I hope that I pronounce his name correctly. But I just want to shout out coached by Joe Delgace. And unfortunately, he passed away. I don't know from what. But regardless, I just want to send prayers to him and his family and the Baldwin community. We rep the Baldwin Bruins through and through, as you guys know. That's where we grew up. That's where we had the best years of our lives. You know, it was a great town and community to grow up in. And look at us, umpteen years later, even more than umpteen years later, we're here together. And a lot of our viewership comes from that same Bruin family as well, making comments on Facebook and supporting the podcast and everything. So, you know, we just wanted to show the love and respect all around. So just love and praise to Coach Joe Delgace. And I hope his family is healing up. And I just wanted to just say that, even though I don't even know really who he is, but the love is there regardless.
Right.
I think we'll probably get some more info as we get, talk to Coach Carroll or some of the other guys. Maybe the next show we could talk a little bit more about.
Absolutely. Yes, please.
I know it was Corey Becker that had told me about that.
Okay.
And Corey Becker also informed me that there's a Baldwin High School graduate that's slated to go to the moon.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah.
She's NASA. I mean NASA. She went to MIT.
Yeah.
Her name is. Give me a second. I'll find it.
I think she went to Plaza.
I think so.
Nah, She probably went to Brookside.
Her name is Yasmin Mogbelli, and I think that she immigrated from Germany to the United States, and then went to Baldwin High School and MIT, like you said. But she's slated to be one of the astronauts in the new moon program. It says that she graduated. She considers Baldwin her hometown, but she was born in Nannheim, Germany, and graduated from Baldwin High School and MIT.
Listen, you see what Baldwin produces, okay? All right? We produce astronauts, UFC champs, Bobby Pettigrew, BKBK podcasts, okay? So stop playing around. Watch the show, all right?
There you go.
Watch the show, and if you watch it once, watch it again, and then share it and do all of that, okay? Watch us on Facebook.
And do all of that.
Watch us on Instagram at BKBK Podcast. Watch us on Twitter, okay, at BKBK Podcast. Watch us on YouTube, all righty? Type in BKBK Podcast. Make sure you hit the like button, the share button. Share it to all your friends and family, all righty? And also, if you can't watch it, listen to it in the car while you're on your way to work, okay? BKBK Podcast at Podomatic.com, okay? You can do all of that, all righty? So you just saw and heard all that Baldwin love, okay? We love you guys. Give us that love back, all right? Yo, B, play that music. We're out, man. Love everybody. And hey, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody out there, all right?
Happy Hanukkah.
Yeah.
Merry Kwanzaa.
Yeah.
All of that.